Welcome back, everyone. This is a video that I produced some years back, 2012 to be exact. I was employed by a gentleman called Will Patterson, who wanted me to record one of his clients who was a golf superintendent. And that's a person who runs a golf course, especially the maintenance and just general well-being of the golf course. Now, Will wanted me to do this for a marketing reason to do with his business, and I don't really know much about that. But what I liked about this was that as I recorded it, it became pretty obvious to me that Colin Winterton, the golf superintendent, was a bit of a character. And to be honest with you, he told a story, just a general, it's basically the story of a day in the life of a superintendent. And I just found it fascinating, and I thought you would too. So here it is, and I hope you enjoy it.
We're just starting to come up to championship, so try and get a bit of green speed in for the boys. So the 11th of February is championship, so we would have rolled today, but the roller's broken down. The mechanic won't be in till later, so wait and see. I've got to open the main gates now for the members. We had a bit of grief with a disgruntled cleaner, so we've changed the locks. We've been fighting this for about 4 weeks now. They say 5 weeks will see us out, but it's vandalism. It's all this bird vandalism. Bastards. And this is probably worse than we've had for quite a while. Not much we can do in this in the city.
What causes this?
Birds dig it up with their beaks. Cockatoos and corellas. So, coming into championships in 3 weeks, we're just as likely to find this damage on a Saturday morning. 31 years, and interesting journey. Started as a single man, and now all my kids are grown up, all 4 of them. Been a good journey, good place to work. Very good place to work. We'll come back to this. We're doing a revamp on the first hole, but I just want to open up these gates and see who's waiting. The first lot of early birds shall turn up as I'm from a farming background. My parents had a dairy farm, mixed farm at Toura in South Gippsland, and in 1970 they sold out and moved down to Werribee. And then I went to boarding school for 3 years at agricultural colleges. And after I graduated, did what all good students of agriculture do, would turn to industry. I worked in Melbourne for a little while, but ended up coming back and got a start at Werribee Park Golf Club, and loved it. Feel very comfortable doing it. Just it is the greatest job on earth. Just checking greens. We most of our greens are now well over 40 years old, so the summer diseases, the decline diseases, Pythiums and rhizos tend to sneak up on you. So you're just looking for subtle changes. Otherwise, by the time it's very obvious what's going on, you can't get enough fungicide on it to stop. So it's just all about checking, just being vigilant. We had some pretty nasty greens the year before last, but we're onto a much better spray program now, preventative program, which is a first for here. I don't know. He's all right, this one. This time of the year, for the summer decline diseases, you need to be starting your preventative programs, back in September, October. So using different chemical groups, planned approach, and make sure that you stay regular, which is not easy in small staff and the way our membership works with the golfing calendar, but you've got to be out every 3 or 4 weeks just to make sure the populations don't build up in the ground, and then you can stay on top, so that if there is an outbreak, the fungicide you put on it at the right rate will knock it completely instead of just set it back. And if you get behind, you spray every blooming week and you're just not heading anywhere, which is what happened a couple of years back. But pretty good chemical rep. We sat down and drew up a nice program, and we've been on it for now 18 months odd, and touching wood, no hiccups, although the 16th is the one we're going to have a look at now, which is one of my trigger greens. It falls over pretty quick, so the one we're about to see is built on dredgings out of the Yarra, of all things, because seashells in it. So the soil goes sour. This one is a more recent green, so the bent grass is more populous, but we go to 16, you'll see patches of poa and patches of bent. It's colonised, and it's the poa that falls over. Yeah. Even though it's a good grass for us most of the year, and if you're not watching it, it gets you. So the theory with poa is if it's thirsty, you give it to drink. If it's hungry, you give it a feed, and if it's feeling sick, you apply a fungicide. So, and if you stay in step with it, it'll look after you. But if you don't,
over.
Gives you a bit of stick, it does, yeah. Yeah, we actually lost one green. We lost the 14th, which we'll have a look. That was 2 years ago, which was what triggered all this activity into being proactive instead of being reactive, which we have been for all these years. The cocky damage. It's the 15th green, this one. You'll see what I mean about the poa. It's that's the winter grass in there. It goes a little pale, and you just got to make sure that it doesn't get the yellows too much, but all in gear. But very old constructions. The only drainage is what we put in. They're not traditionally constructed greens like the new one we're building up on the first. But in the 30 odd years I've been here, there's always been a project to keep me and others interested. So we rebuilt all our tees through the 80s. Through the 90s we were into bunker renovation. In 2000 which was about the 3rd year into the drought, 2001 odd, we commissioned a report to find out how we could get some more water, because water was always our limiting factor here. And they said, well, you're growing cool seasons grass in the middle of a drought, why don't we go to couch? So they spent $1.3 million in 18 months, and we planted Santa Ana couch everywhere, and the staff couched all the tees. And everywhere we do work in the rough now is all couch. So there's just been these ongoing projects all the time, which have been just keep you enthused. Turf management doesn't get boring. You just get a bit numbed with the sameness sometimes. So you need these little things to be ticking over in the background and make it a complete job. We did some water storage work about 15 months ago. Put in another 20 megalitres of storage. So the cheapest way to deal with the material that comes out is to use it on site. So we decided to do a little bit of mound work. It just kept coming, the material, so we just kept building mounds. It's staggering. Yeah, I do a course check every morning. The others can do it, but ultimately any judgments that I make and work practice I put into place, come from me. So I need to know exactly what they look like early in the morning, whether we need to get out with the hand water or put some surfactant on, or is the back corner dry, does the sprinkler work, is there any sprinklers stuck on? Yeah, well, the other boys can do it, but as you see, they're all on mowers. It's Friday, and we've got to prepare for a big day tomorrow, which is Members' Day. Probably in excess of 250 golfers tomorrow, and they've been waiting all week to see something that's beautiful. So we've just got to get out about and trim it all up. So there we go. This green was a bit of a mess last summer, and you can see the bent grass has now started to take over all through the centre of the green, which is the big wear area. Most of the pin placement's in here. It's the low point of the green. The water gets held here, so we've just got to make sure we're here to see what the POA's doing. It was fertilised last week, so fertility won't be a problem. We were just watching what the diseases do, and I actually sprayed on Wednesday, so that we'll probably buy about 7 to 10 days grace before we need to make another judgment on it. But very, very poor construction, so it's got every right to be not the best green we've got, built on seashells. So what hope we
be the next one to replace, or
we're the first green, which we've got to go up and have a look at shortly. It came out of sync. It wouldn't have been the one we wanted to replace, but there was a safety issues with the neighbours, so it had to come in first. But we had the AGCSA Technical Services Department in, and we did a greens audit on all of our greens, 20 of them. The president new in the job, the board members all new in the job, wanted to know where their golf course was sitting and what was likely to happen. It's all very well for me to keep it ticking over and prolonging whatever, but you need some sort of hard data for them to make the right judgments. So we had them all audited, and there's some pretty strange old results in it. Nothing surprising, but it did reinforce that we need some good solid programs, spray programs, fertility programs, renovation programs, to sustain these until we can replace them.
what do they do in the audit?
They did population density of POA versus bent grass, thatch levers, thatch layer, water infiltration, profile examination to see whether we've got any layers in there that are inhibiting root growth. Pretty all-embracing, cost a fair amount of money, but it's a great basis, you know. So, gee, the 16's a bit crook. It's entitled to be, but we just need to make sure the inputs are greater on this one than they are on the new green, which is 14. I've got to go over and check the weir. I'll show you where we get it all from, but it's storm water harvesting off the streets, and we've been doing that since 1983. After the first drought, the club spent $150,000 then to put a water harvesting system in and one little lake, and since then we've gone from probably about 5 megalitres stored to 40. So we were offered some recycled water out of the factory next door, but the club's a bit nervous about the quality, salts and things out of manufacturing plants, so I can understand that. There's ways around it, but the risks are not what they want to take. There we go. You wouldn't even know we'd been on them with the Verdi mower. It's just to remove a little bit of the top growth, speeds the greens up, evens them out a little bit. Our POA seed heads we haven't treated this year. We normally apply a chemical to.
What do you think
We have used in the past Ethifon, and does a great job. But because our greens came out of the spring a little bit weak on it, we just kept the treatments off. As the more same old story, the more you spray anything, it's just very harsh on the plant. You know, even fairways when we were first put them down and they were stolons and we wanted them to run, we had all these weed invasions, so you spray, but it just sets your cooch back all the time, another 3 or 4 weeks. So, well, we need to go to the pump shed now. Okay. Just a big check, make sure the green light's flashing and the alarm bells aren't on. Checking water pressure. And we've got an injection system. I put surfactants and wetting agents out overnight time. So, yeah, he's all right. Still enough left in there. And what that's been able to do for us is, instead of applying in a spray tank, greens only, once a month, this goes out through the sprinkler system, so you're doing surrounds and approaches and tees as well. So the quality of the tea and green complexes has just lifted enormously. The job has changed incredibly in probably the last 10 years, even more than, you know, the 20 before that. I mean, I started at Werribee Park Golf Club in 1977 or something, and it didn't seem to change all that much, and then it's just exploded, absolutely exploded. Management systems, we're now more facilities managers, we're people managers more than we are turf managers, probably. The inputs, the quality of what you put out on your fairway. I mean, we put a fairway fertiliser out in September, October, and it lasts through till March.
Just slow release.
Staggering, you know. And whereas before you'd have to be out once a month with these upfront releases. And the quality of the fungicides, the lessening severity of the insecticides you use, which means they're safer, is excellent. And surfactants, water penetrants, you know, just you can produce better greens with the same or less inputs because what you're using is just far superior.
And used more effectively?
Oh yeah. And you know, the spray units we're using now, some of these fancy, you know, Toro Multi Pros and the John Deere ones, you just get it out, you know, and litre perfect.
Yeah.
And these ones with the shrouds on them, you're using even less chemical because it creates the swirl and coats the leaf with less. I do a fair bit of one-on-one around the course. We have Thursday afternoons off, which is one of our major member competitions. You know, there'll be 200 players in the afternoon, or 180. And they're the high-end users, the demanders, like the Saturday boys. I don't get tangled up too much with them, but through the week and Saturday and Thursday mornings, yeah, fair bit of banter. All good blokes, all come here for a different reason, you know, and all got good stories. Talking to one bloke last week, and about these cockatoos, and he said, when I was at Horsham on the farm we used to shoot at. I said, Horsham, nice place. I went to college up there. Turns out I probably played footy against him. Our state association, Victorian Golf Course Superintendents Association, I am a life member of it. When the bushfires went through, they burnt or did major damage to Horsham and to Marysville. So at Marysville, the Melbourne boys had 3 working bees, and we sodded all the greens to bent grass and got them back in order. And the Ballerine boys went up to Horsham to help out. So they're pretty tight bunch, the VGCSA. We don't see each other as often as we should, but we're on the phone a fair bit. And one of the best things about it, if you're having a bit of trouble with something, there's always someone to ring and let you know their perspective of it. So
it's like a bit of a community group.
It is, you know. You feel quite isolated and insular because you need to be on the track all the time, but on the other hand, we're just part of a larger community that will help one another out at the drop of the hat. You know, and you see that at the major tournaments in all the states where they have volunteers from other courses bring machinery. The machinery companies put machines in there, and it's just a big help out. This would be Medway's signature hole, hole 7. So you hit over a water hazard. There's a water hazard all the way down the left, and it cuts in front of the green again. So we have an island fairway and like an island green. And it's not a long hole, a severe side slope, but fun to play. There's a lot of different ways to play it, and some of them aren't good. But we did put severe mounding down the left-hand side to stop all the balls from rolling in the creek. Because at the height of the drought, you'd hit to the top side of that fairway and the ball would almost stop, and then it'd turn once sideways and you're in the creek. Couldn't stop them. So we brought in 7,500 cubic metres of material and put these massive mounds down the left-hand side, and it just cured the problem, to be honest. It's tiger country down the left, but yeah, it is cruel. Before the trees grew up at the end, back in the 50s, I used to drive it. You know, I don't know how long it is. It's 370 metres. Used to have a crack straight over the house. But this is where we harvest all our storm water for the lakes. Down here, we did a water management plan out of it. It's a computer software package from Melbourne Water, where you work out how big your area is, how much water comes down, so you can apply for licences. We've had diversion licence since '83, but we wanted to change it from 25 megs Winterfield to, and they asked us to go to 100, so we've ended up with 125 megalitre water right. And if ever we can draw 125 out of the creek, we won't need it. So it's just one of those nice balances. It's there if we want it, but if we get it, we're too wet to need to take it. So it's perfect. But it's a huge catchment. We did the math, about 10 million litres. Yeah, 10,000 megalitres go down there in an average rainfall year. And we've got a licence for 100. So it absolutely roars. It goes over the top of those bridges. These tees, these were all project managed by the Star course staff. We drew the plans up, and got the contractors in. And away they went. You know, we presented about 3 or 4 different options for them, and this is the one they selected, so this is the one we built. It's just better effect. Once we did around the 1st and the 6th tees with it, just to sharpen the place up, and on a few of the feature tees we decided we'd do that. But we've been able to upgrade all of this over the years. We started off with one little centrifugal pump, and as the system doesn't do what you want it to do, we put a sump pump in there, and then we said, well, why don't we put 2 in there, we'll get it faster. And then they built, look, it is, it's, especially clubs like this, we tend to sneak up on them a little bit, just do little bits until we get it to a level that, that's good for here, instead of saying, well, we'll over-engineer it. Yeah, because you've got all that money sitting in infrastructure and chewing its head off in depreciation. Fertilisers and chemicals would be probably 35 to 40,000. Believe it or not, when we went to a preventative strategy, the chemical costing didn't go all that much higher, because we were applying out of reaction, and you tend to over-apply when you're doing that sort of stuff. So that's worked out okay. It's
Presumably it's a better feeling for you too.
Oh, look, it is, and once a month we have a Greens meeting, and they say, well, what's happening? And I say, well, let's be comfortable. Our fertiliser program's in place, our insecticides program's in place, our fungicide program's in place. Doesn't mean nothing's going to happen, but it gives you insurance that it might only be one that causes you a bit of grief. Well, he's exactly right, and the members deserve to know exactly what we're doing as a Greens Committee, and say, well, yep, once a month. They used to be pretty torrid in the old days, but they're a bit gentler now. I don't know whether it's because I've been there that long, or whether it's the difference in the information that I'm giving them. We tend to be more interactive now as a group. Yeah, we've had to reconstruct this the first hole, because we had awful trouble hitting golf balls into the neighbours' properties. It's just that a very poorly shaped hole. It just got narrower the further it went, and it was 420 metres. So we owed it to the members to get this one right. So we've gone to a professional golf course design company, Pacific Coast, and had site meetings with them, and they put together a plan and drew up the specs, which we put out to tender, and we then sat down as a group, the Greens Committee, and wasn't a Greens Committee, it was the Treasurer and the President and the Manager and myself and a couple of the directors, and we selected our preferred contractor, which ended up to be McMahon's, and they've built a couple of quality golf courses out this side of town, Ainsbury and a new one at Beveridge. So we've just started as of a couple of weeks ago. We're importing all the bulk fill to do the base work, and as you'll see when we get around there, we've got the basic outline of what the hole's going to look like. So we want all the players to hit to the left so that they're firing their second shots away from the rows of houses. So that's all fairway bunkering and mounding down there. We'll widen the fairway out to the left, and we're hoping to probably sow this in March, the green. We'll sod all the fairway sides just for presentation and just speed of getting it back into play. It's big money, and the members are quite excited. This is probably the first dabble in serious construction work we've done. We've built 3 new greens and resurfaced 2 others in my time, but this is the first time we've actually changed the playing characteristics, so it's going to be pretty severe. Half our golfers play this hole down the tree line. They're always in it, just whack, 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 whack. So with my slice, I'm in here all the time. So that's a fairway bunker there, bulked out. There'll be another fairway bunker tipped out this way a little bit. Warm the heart when you're walking on cooch like this. I mean, this was all potholes and bits of ryegrass and bits of kikuyu. They were long days because we did the earthworks and the lake works and the irrigation system and the cooching all in the one hit. So we'd have contractors here at 6 in the morning, and the people putting the cooch down were still here 10, 11 o'clock at night. So and as soon as it goes down, it had to be watered. This is all from Sprig. So long hours, and putting Sprig down the way they did it, it wasn't road planted, it was cultivated in. It's a bit like being pregnant. You know the result, you just don't know when. So everybody's walking around for 4 weeks saying it's failed, it's failed, it's failed, but up she comes. Yeah, it just tends to get away from us over Christmas. We had was it 40 mil of rain or something Christmas night, and it just flushes it. And we haven't yet used growth regulators because we still want these fairways to bulk up a bit, but that'll be probably something we look to down the track just for the finish, as when it gets away from you, end up with all these, because it gets thatchy, that's the cutter just nestles into it and creates little ribs. So yeah, well, we will. We've scarified nearly all the fairways because every time we do mound work, we get to scarify the fairway next to it and put them on the mound. So not as a program, but as a need. But it's funny grass. It grows in the rough at 65 millimetres high and longer. On the fairways at 12 millimetres, and on the temporary green at 3. Still alive. It is big. It is big. Oh well, we've been on a temporary for probably 8 months now. Just while we evaluated, we put a temporary at that siding just to see whether the balls went over the fence anymore. Just hard data so that they could sell it to the membership. It's saying, well, since we've been on the new site, nobody's gone over the fence. That's where we need to put the green. And we worked with the neighbour. He would come down once a month with the count. It was pretty high, some of it. So, so working with the contractor's been good. Very laid back young fella doing this sort of job, and I'd meet probably twice a day just to see how he's travelling, and if he needs to tweak something, give him a bit of reinsurance or tell him that that's not negotiable. Pacific Coast. Phil Ryan, I've known Phil for 30 years, and he did put a nice plan down, and he hasn't been out to have a look at the works yet, but as soon as we bulked up and have got all the hard features down pat, then he deserves to have a look to see if that's exactly what he wanted. But apart from, I'd talk to him on the phone if I've got any issues, but all seems to work okay. But we've had to, there was irrigation all the way down there, we had to disconnect that. We'll do the irrigation ourselves. When the drainage layer goes in, the contractor will do the trenches and we'll throw the pipes and wires in and fit them off. Not so much to save the club a lot of money, but it's just one of those nice little projects for the boys to do, because they haven't been involved all that much up here, but they'll be all over it with the irrigation. Yeah, and it's not hard work, gee. It's not hard work. I mean, we've just got to tap into 2 wires, put a decoder on and run the wires, so it's going to be a different hole, but yep, that's its shape there. So the bunker on the left will protect the back portion of it, and if you go through the green you go into a hollow then mound, and this one will run you both ways. But yeah, oh yes, tight. But we stripped all the turf from here to the green. That took some doing. But of course when they're working here and working down there, we've got to adjust the layout. So we take the 11th hole out and the first hole out, put the spare hole in, and then got ropes and pegs and signs, and you know, when they walk out on Friday at 5 o'clock, it's got to be changed before 6:45 the next morning, so my alarm clock runs hot. Now this is the sprinkler I don't think was working, so.
So is that the programmer?
Yeah, it's just talks to the control box. Doesn't look like it's working. We're going to back to my office to call up the sprinkler that I don't think is working on the first. So we'll set it for 15 minutes, go back. If it's not working, I'll check the adjustment on the pilot valve, and if that's all okay, then we'll be getting a shovel and having a little dig. Okay, I just need to look at this, get into our watering system program. Okay, we go into manual watering, controller number 3, station number 26, and we'll put 30 minutes on it. That'll give us time to play. Okay. Now we'll do a field control check to make sure that the box is talking to us. All's okay in there. So there's no reason why that sprinkler shouldn't be going. So we'll go and find out. The second fairway here, we were not able to grow anything on it for years and years and years. We cooched it in common cooch. We hand planted it. We did all sorts of things, but everybody said you would never grow anything on it. And lo and behold, Santa Ana loves it. But it's got all good aspects for Santa Ana. Full sun. All day, all season. So they absolutely love us now. Okay, park him out of the way. Grab this tool. know what that is. Might be one of the neighbours, I think. Oh, a couple come through from the houses and have a bit of a play. Okay, this is only a par 3 temporary today, so I'll get in front here. Now which one of us is going to get wet? Hopefully it's going that way. Yep. Okay, it should be working, so...
What would cause that?
The solenoid might be stuck up, not releasing it. Would be about the only thing. Wouldn't be anything stuck in the valve, because then it would leak. And it won't be the pilot valve, because I've just given it a run. So
do you need to test it now?
I will be going to get a shovel now. We'll dig it up and we'll see what happens. Sorry. Minor repairs. Well, it's not working automatically, this sprinkler.
So it's working.
Yeah, it's working manually. So we've called it up from the office and it hasn't activated, so I'm thinking it'll be a jammed solenoid. Either that or a wire has not connected, in which case that'll be my fault because I was the one who put it in here. So we'll find out. Gee whiz us. I think I'll just check that I'm in range. Thanks, Pete.
You're not happy?
No, I'm just checking that this
Yeah,
could talk to the computer, which it does. This one is nothing, so. It just pulls the pin down, which changes the water pressure inside and flips the.
It'd be a lot easier when it's on.
Yep. Not meant to be easy. You learn not to trust anything. It goes through decoder. We've got a twisted pair that runs the length of the main, and you tap into that, put a little box on, and this one will have 4 sets of wires out of it, and a 4-station decoder. Nothing. Alright, makes the choices easy. We'll go back and get another solenoid. We'll put another solenoid on it. If this one not going to fire up, it'll be a decoder, which is down in there somewhere. No, it's not straight across. Oh, I had to find it for the earthworks, that's the only reason. Very unusual the solenoids give out. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. No good. Deep. They are big sprinklers. They'll do 150 litres a minute, which is a lot of water. Okay, decoder. So we can backfill this hole now, put it all together, and water these manually, and then make a diary entry for Monday, and that'll be that.
Something or
Dear.
they just said it's
Just easier, isn't it? Okay, southerly breeze, that'll just give that green a bit of a drink because I want to fertilise that today. We're going to the 17th green. There's a little dry patch up the back. The sprinklers are obviously working, but might have gone a bit hydrophobic, sealed off, so I'll hand core it to see what's happening and give it a drink. And pencil in for next week, probably put some organics down the core holes just to hold the moisture more. But pretty typical of our greens. Different root depths, they dry out at different rates, so it's been a very hard thing to change. Brake on. Okay. It's been dry and it's starting to wet up again. But there's no substitute for holes to get water. Yeah, through the week I'd probably put holes in, you know, anything up to 10 greens, just little bits, sometimes a square metre. We've got a machine in the shed that will do whole greens with cross tines if we need it. See, it's quite firm and dry now. In here, it's almost gone to powder. Very hard to push down. So even though the sprinklers operate every night and probably deliver, you know, 100 times 3,000 litres of water or something up the back here, it doesn't penetrate, just runs off. So even with the use of surfactants, it's nice just to touch up these little areas before they get too big. But I do find with staff, they like to be spoken to at a fairly comparative level. It saves you asking questions because by the manner you talk to them, just invites backwards and forwards, to and froing, argy-bargy. And I wish they could teach it in a school. I'm not saying I'm perfect at it, but some of the young bucks have got no idea. And because they're technically excellent, they reckon they're better. You see, the benefits of being an old farmer and shoveling lots of cow manure is you don't drop any. Just the one. I just need to get full of water, and next week I'll put some organic down at some pelleted manure, fowl manure. Come on, you. And that'll help the roots hang on to something. But it's always up the back where you want to put good pin placements for the championships. So we'll get ours out 3 metres from this back edge.
Yeah.
That's 150 metres, that hole. Okay. One thing that sort of has made me wonder over the years, we buy chemicals, we get applicators licences, and we do refresher courses. We have good spray gear and all the stuff, but we're sort of left to source our own spray gear out, our protective clothing. One safety company will sell one brand and another one will sell another brand, and you kind of wish that was the industry standard. That's your suit.
So there isn't.
It costs X amount, and every shed would have one and every person would have one. I just think would make my job just bulletproof. There's your suit, goes on every time, instead of, oh, my jacket's got a hole in it, this, and I can't find that.
The guy's happy to wear the gear or not?
Oh yeah. But every shed's different, and we all deal with the same chemicals. We deal exactly the same surfaces, but we're just left to our own bloody devices.
There's no industry standard.
No, it just makes me wonder. Just thinking out loud. We're preparing our nursery, our coochie nursery, up so that when the earthworks are all finished on the first hole, we'll be able to repair that worn track across the 11th fairway. We had a lot of tracks when we did the lakes here winter before last, and it was probably the biggest criticism and condemnation by the members was all the tracks that we didn't get fixed in time. So
We just resod them.
resod the whole lot. So when we sat down and planned this project out, and they said, where are you going to take the trucks? And I said, we'll take them across the 11th. And what about the track? And I said, well, as soon as the last track goes out, we stitch the fence up, it'll be sodded the next day.
Yeah.
And it just buys me an easy way in, but it gives the directors, well, hang on a minute, I know it's a track, but the day the last truck goes out, the superintendent said, and I'll have to live up to that promise. The run or the stolen root mass will still be underneath, it'll come itself. So all we'll do is probably water the hell out of it and make sure it all does come up even. Yeah, I reckon we must have done about 6 or 7 laps by now. The day's only halfway through, so I reckon you'd have to get round it 15 or 20 times a day, just noticing something different every time. And sometimes it leads to a job change, or just a word to the operator to make sure they've understood their brief, or change it in any way. Or sometimes, in the case of insects, if you get attack of stem weevil in a green, it won't be there first couple of laps, but by the time you get back around there midday, they'll have started to wilt the green, so you're backing on the spray tank. So that doesn't happen as often with preventative programs, but if you're out of sequence with their life cycle, it can happen. I just wanted to make sure that the temporary green got wet, because I want to put some greens grade fertiliser on it this afternoon and water that back in, so the plant will be less stressed when I put the fertiliser down. But it does work, just not electrically. Ooh. We might just go up on this first green. Chris and I got to nut the irrigation out this afternoon or Monday. So this is just the ramp where they're going to bring all the sand trucks up. So I need to tie the irrigation in from that existing sprinkler. I've got to put 4 green sprinklers in and make sure that we don't leave any gaps on the approach of the green, because if we have different moistures there, the ball will bounce differently every different shot that gets played. So it's a fairly long green, so I'll be probably looking to offset these sprinklers, or set them back and put a set of approach sprinklers in. But this is the green shape here that we need to irrigate. There'll be a sprinkler go on the back mound, 2 back sprinklers, 2 front sprinklers, and probably another single in here if it'll fit. But we need to get the tape measure out. They've all got their radius ratings under the pressure we run, so we know how far they're going to go and where to put them, so no big deal. I treated this one a little bit differently. It was Wednesday actually, it went off, I put a sprinkler on it for the day. I just want to see whether we got any regeneration or whether it's going to need a bit of hand coring. So if you feel where this is under stress, if you feel the turf, it's hot, but healthy turf is cool to the touch. So that's still warm, so we'll give that a bit of a drink now. You can buy these fancy glasses that identify potential warm spots before they turn up. So, but I did hand core it last week, so while I've got the hose here, I'll give it a drink. Good morning, I'm well. Yourself? Best putter in the club, that bloke. Here every day. Caught my eye last week and it just only a couple of weeds. And the boys will come round and broom the face for me, so. Because that's what the members notice. And they'll go in on Saturday afternoon for a drink. They're still there, those weeds on the 5th. I saw them the other week. I don't think you can do the job without having a full trust relationship.
One more there.
And, yep, what I need to know is what the board are thinking.
Yeah.
If they're thinking I'm doing a bad job, you need to let me know and we pick our game up. But don't let me just rot away in ignorance.
They would, wouldn't they?
Oh yeah.
Should.
Yeah. A tough job being the manager. I mean, whatever irritates me out here, I can go to the other corner of the golf course and it's all fine. He's got the office, that's it. We're placed pre-irrigation, so they were catch bunkers. Like we had a couple down the bottom that if they didn't get the bunker, they would be in the river because the ball just would not have stopped. So we're gradually changing them all, but it's a fairly conservative, well, I don't want that, do I? Fairly conservative club, so some days it's hard to get things changed. This, the 5th green, had a pretty ordinary winter. It just got wet feet, got saturated, and we lost a lot of the power down through the centre, down through the traffic area. So we've been doing a lot of plugging out of the 1st green and a lot of sand top dressing and a bit of sodding. It was just a combination. This back corner was particularly nasty, but as you see, most of what we got back is the power, which is no great comfort if we get a really hot day because it's be shallow rooted as anything. But these are bent grass purchased sod, so they will have good root systems through there. But you can just see the difference in the colour, the hue. It's just a little yellowy. Look, it's not sick. It's nicer to keep it a little hungry because the bent grass can run. So, but same thing. It's just vigilance. You've just got to be on them all the time. When we had our greens audit done by Agsitech, this green, which is the 18th, came back as the most poorly constructed and tight and bound up and just had everything wrong with it. But it's the one we have the least trouble with, believe it or not. We just managed to get the water right 100%, and it causes me little grief. But the day it does fall over, we'll know exactly why, because it's just a time bomb ready to go off. So we're geared for that one. thrown by the river. The Melbourne Water are going to come in and get rid of all the crap out of the river and plant it up to river reds and all sorts.
That'd be beautiful.
And we're going to handle this section of the creek first.
Yeah.
Get rid of everything in there and plant that up
Like
to...
little blackberries and crap. And,
Yep, plant it up to grasses and small trees. Yeah, I've pretty much done my greens run now, just to make sure everything's going to be in order for the weekend. If I had needed somebody to give me a hand for hand chlorine or hand watering, we would have had that underway so that they could go back and do their normal jobs, preparing of course for the weekend. So I'm pretty happy that the greens will go into a warmer weekend in good shape. I'll just now go back and look at all the water quantities that are going out and make some adjustments on a couple of greens we saw this morning. And that's pretty much put my job to bed for the day, and I'll probably pitch in and help the boys finish off the preparation for Saturday, which is our principal aim here is the Saturday golfer. They pay the most money, so they deserve the best conditions. That's where we're at the moment.